Okay, this presentation is about pedigree charts, the family tree of genetics. Here's an example of a pedigree chart. You can see males are squares, females are circles. There's an affected male that's shaded, affected female that's shaded. Then there's diagonal lines in the square and the circle representing deceased male and female. What is a pedigree? Definition, uses, constructing a pedigree, symbols, connecting the symbols, and interpreting a pedigree. So what is a pedigree? A pedigree is a chart of the genetic history of family over several generations. Scientists or a genetic counselor would find out about your family history and make this chart to analyze. Okay, so constructing a pedigree, the two basic symbols would be female and male. So female is represented by a circle and the male is represented by a square. This is, they don't see this too often, but looking at this, examples of connected symbols. A fraternal twin would look like this with the parents up here, and identical twins would look like this. And then this is some main ones here. So the married couple will be female, male with a horizontal line connecting them. Siblings, you can see them connected with the parents. The parents are up here. One line comes down from the middle line. And then you have your daughter, son, and daughter. These are three kids. And this is the brother of this gal, and this is the sister of this boy. Okay, again, symbols used in pedigree charts. Square is a normal male. Squares that's shaded in is the affected male of some trait that you're following through in the pedigree. Clear circle is a normal female. A shaded circle would be an affected female. And as you see, the line between the circle and the square represents a marriage. And a marriage with 5 children is being illustrated here. The 2 daughters and the 3 sons. The eldest son is affected by the condition. So what does a pedigree chart look like? So again, affected is shaded. X-linked has something going on like a dot in the circle if it's female, autosomal. Carrier would have a line down the middle, but sometimes you see it shaded halfway, and a deceased will be a diagonal line over the square or the circle. Okay, how do you read a pedigree chart? Not shaded doesn't have the trait that you're following in the pedigree. A half shaded circle or square will represent a carrier, which means they have one allele. A completely shaded has the trait homozygous, both alleles for the trait. And then generations are identified by Roman numerals. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is, for example, you. Then these are your parents. Then these are your grandparents. And these are your great-grandparents. A circle represents a female. A square represents a male. Horizontal line connecting male and female represents a marriage. Vertical line and a bracket connect the parents to the children. A completely shaded square or circle indicates the person has the trait. A circle or square that is not shaded indicates the person neither has a trait nor is a carrier. A half shaded circle or square indicates that the person is a carrier. How many individuals are represented in this pedigree chart? Well, there are 20, so you just have to add up the circles and squares. Interpreting a pedigree chart. Determine if the pedigree chart shows an autosomal or X-linked disease. Remember, autosomal chromosomes are numbers 1 through 22. If most of the males in the pedigree are affected, the disorder is X-linked. If it is a 50-50 ratio between men and women, the disorder is autosomal. So is this an autosomal or X-linked trait? Oh, it's autosomal because we have an equal number of males and females being affected by the trait. Now, interpreting a pedigree chart, determine whether the disorder is dominant or recessive. If the disorder is dominant, one or more of the parents must have the disorder. Well, one of the parents, has the disorder. If the disorder is recessive, neither parent has to have the disorder because they can be heterozygous. Okay, so is this an example of a dominant recessive disorder or a dominant or recessive trait being represented in the pedigree chart? Well, it's dominant, okay, because you can see the parent, at least one parent has the trait. Okay, is this dominant or recessive? Oh, it's recessive because you can see parents don't have the trait. Okay, let's look at something called the genetic family tree. Let's look at this scenario. Okay, all right. So we have circles are female, square are males. Normally, shaded symbols indicate a recessive trait. Shaded normally indicates a recessive trait. For example, all shaded symbols then would be little b for simple eye color. For just think of a monohybrid cross. That makes sense. You're only going to get the actual trait if you have homozygous recessive for that trait. There it is. There it is. There it is. So you can fill those in right away. So now what must the genes be for 1 and 2? Okay, grandparents. Both must be capital B, little b for them to have a child, little b, blue eyes. You have to. So what about child 3? Well, this child must be either capital B, or capital B, little b. You can't tell until they have their own children someday. And now we'll just check out all the others now. Okay, there you go. There are the parents, both heterozygous. The only way they have to be heterozygous for a kid to be homozygous recessive. We're not sure on those. And now let's just see if we've got going on here. Okay, there comes the next one. This is heterozygous over here. Okay, just to see the complete chart. Because these have to be heterozygous to have the homozygous trait here in this male. Yes, this is the only way you can have this. It's working it backwards. You can do monohybrid crosses, simple Punnett squares to work yourself backwards anytime on these. Okay, here's a pedigree chart. First generation, second generation, third generation. Here's another example. This one shows the inheritance of attached earlobes. Which parent has attached earlobes? That's the father. How many children do the parents have? Which child has attached earlobes? Okay, they have 3 children, and one has attached earlobes. Which child is married? Does the spouse have attached earlobes? Yes, 3 is married. Her spouse doesn't have attached earlobes. Do any of these children have attached earlobes? Yes, the son does. Okay, how many people are unaffected carriers? Okay, unaffected carriers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 6, right. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a little bit more. 8. How many people are affected by the disorder? 1, 2. How many carriers are female? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how many people are unaffected carriers? Nobody. 0. How many people are affected by the disorder? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Can we tell if the disorder is dominant or recessive? Yes, it's dominant because the parent has it. How many generations are represented? 1, 2, 3 generations. And here's a royal hemophilia pedigree. And this is a pedigree chart representing cystic fibrosis. Using a different pedigree of the same family at a later time shows 3 generations. Figure 20.20-3 shows a son-in-law as well as a grandchild. Generation 1 may now be called grandparents. Which person is a son-in-law? Roman numeral 2, 1. Okay. To whom is he married? Roman numeral 2, 2. Roman numeral 2, 2. What sex is their child? Female. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, back to that. That's the female child right there, number 1. Okay. White forelock trait is seen in people as a streak of white hair. Examine the pedigree chart for the appearance of white forelock trait in this family. Use the pedigrees chart to answer the following questions. Could the father be described as pure or hybrid? Pure, because it's homozygous recessive. What percentage of the parent's offspring would you expect to show white forelock trait? Use a Punnett and you'll figure out it will be 50%. And this is just another pedigree. So pedigrees are family trees that explain your genetic history. Pedigrees are used to find out the probability of a child having a disorder in a particular family. To begin to interpret a pedigree, determine if the disease or condition is autosomal or X-linked and dominant or recessive. Okay, this is just general review. We're going to go on to the Amoeba sisters about pedigrees. Just continue to take your notes through in the Google Doc on that original chart.